COVID pandemic and digital paradigm shifts like cryptocurrency, the Internet of Things, and blockchain has caused us to fundamentally rethink and retool our businesses for what is ahead. At the same time, our climate is becoming unpredictable. What would happen to the population and food supply if the surface of the Earth were to become unstable? If the global temperature raises 3 degrees, our densely populated coastal cities would be underwater, and the entire surface ecosystem would collapse. A single megavolcano eruption could block the sun for 2 years. What about a deeper pandemic? Water shortages, war, civil unrest. Private parties and the US government are still using historical solutions and cramped bunkers not made for long-term living. They are assuming above-ground food production will be consistent forever. And we all know one thing is true. Nothing is forever, not even the climate. Ask the dinosaurs. So why do we put an alarming 100% of our long-term living and food security assets on the surface? Let's zoom in to Nevada, Ecoregion 13, which is incredibly safe in terms of our tectonic plates. It is already an inhospitable climate that produces a whopping 0% of its food. Resilience centers could be placed inside abandoned open pit mines and surface mines. Some open pit mines are half a mile wide and an Empire State Building deep. Surface mines reach 6 miles wide by 16 miles long and can also be as deep as an Empire State Building. These could easily house underground food farms that produce water, power, air, everything needed for protected core of secure residences and production of an entire nation's food needs. A surface mine that's 500 feet tall could produce 30% of the globe's food supply in output capabilities. Sections of the Resiliency Center can be rented out or purchased. Each floor can mimic distinct microclimates and produce vegetation and fruit. High-tech inspection and packaging centers are located close to production. Next door, a distribution center orchestrates truck and rail systems, which are designed to connect directly to feed large populations in Carson City and Las Vegas. But how could a system like this become real? How could it be assembled, managed, monitored, and optimized in the most efficient way? The nervous system of the human body has an advanced and elegantly orchestrated signaling system. It collects data, does calculations, and takes actions on the data, all in real time and around the clock. Welcome to Geologic, a revolutionary operating system that builds speed and coherence into governance, operations, and transactional exchanges. The geologic cipher code works like a well-run airport. The core operating system overlays to organize the entire system. A geologic airport consists of toolboxes, where each toolbox has categories, and each category has subcategories, and each subcategory has functions that plug seamlessly into the central control tower. Let's look at an example of how a toolbox is used. A resiliency center is a toolbox, which has categories like food and transportation, which have subcategories like equipment, which have functions like corn harvesting equipment. This equipment leads to a vendor, like John Deere, that produces corn harvesting equipment. Vendors want to get vetted and onboarded onto the geologic system so that they can sell their products and functions across the network. Vendors like John Deere are aware of the category and subcategory needs of each toolbox and can work to build functions, which are products and services, based on toolbox needs. The toolbox system is holonic, meaning that it acts like a fractal, which can elegantly scale from a country all the way down to the individual and everything in between. On the top toolbox sits a governance panel called the panel, which is the top-level audit system for the OS. Below, toolboxes, categories, and subcategory subpanels of subject matter experts are created to build departments of self-governance. In the ecoregion below the country, digital geofenced areas similar to state borders can be established. These geofenced areas can then contain policies such as zoning, IDs, and taxes. Geofence templates can then be repackaged, modified, and sold to other ecoregions. Below the ecoregion is a Resilience Center toolbox, which is a large farm that can grow in any climate condition. This Resilience Center may contain a modular category, such as food, and a subcategory, such as equipment, that have functions, such as a corn harvester by John Deere. Vetted vendors can onboard into the geologic network to offer their solutions in the exchange for the toolboxes, categories, and functions. They can even test out their solutions in the simulated ecosystem before going live. Highly functional solutions are naturally rewarded. In addition, Geologic OS can resell entire toolboxes. These contain modular categories and function combinations. Parties can purchase a pre-existing toolbox or customize portions of it. These pre-assembled solutions can hold valuable function combinations for the buyer and the seller, which leads to faster understanding and point-to-point logistics that can be assembled and resold easily. Reality is complex when it comes down to it, but when you have organization, you can achieve things never before possible. The system has a powerful value proposition. It takes silos of toolboxes that have categories with functions that make up the toolboxes, which build the legal and decision-making infrastructure to make complex organization possible and resellable in a modular form. In the coming years, knowledge and data will become the most valuable asset on the planet. More than a stock market of physical goods, we'll need a system to divide and license IP and know-how across a widening family of stakeholders, from the individuals offering feedback, to the vendors who are collaborating, to the system, which is tracking how it behaves within the entire body of solutions. Geologic OS will be charging a microtransaction fee on all transactions within the marketplace exchange. Revenue is exponential because in this structure, everything moves to and through the OS. What about taxes? What about real-time monitoring? What about tracking complex supply and demand? What about transaction fees generated by the Geologic OS in the marketplace exchange? It's all inherently included. The dynamic geologic is a paradigm shift. This snap-on toolbox system makes zoning compliance, contracts, and reporting seamless so that everyone can concentrate on making their product function within the system highly valuable. And this OS is not limited to this set of resiliency centers. Its individual components and logic can be copied to other bioregions. It can also run existing cities and countries. The architecture for assembling the system, for terraforming the planet and creating civilization, innovation, and coherence has arrived. No matter what awaits us in the future, this full-stack exchange will make it easy for us to guide the ship. Join us.